everyone, I'm here with Ari, and I'm here. You know what? This is episode 200. If you don't know who I am by now, that's on you. But I guess I'll say it anyway for anyone who's new. I'm Rachel. Ari's here as well, and we're your hosts for the Merry Writer podcast. This week, we're on episode 200. Yay! Woo! And we're asking a whole bunch of questions because we just thought since 200 is a bit of a milestone, we thought we would ask each other like rapid fire questions about reading and writing and our work in progresses and all of that fun stuff. So before we dive into the topic, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast wherever you're listening if you haven't already, because seriously, 200 episodes, I don't think we're going anywhere anytime soon. So you're kind of stuck with us. If you enjoy the show, please share it with your friends and feel free to write a review. Ari, first question. What is the first story or novel you ever wrote?
Okay, the first story I ever wrote was when I was like 6 or something. I don't know. It was in primary school, and we had to write a little short fiction, and I wrote about a monster under the bed that was befriending dust bunnies. And I really wish I still had it, but I don't. And my family wasn't big on keeping things like that, so no, it's gone, which was very sad. If we're talking novels, I wrote a sci-fi called Infinity Awaits. It's so bad. Probably when I was about, I want to say like 13. That was a full novel. It went over like 8 floppy disks, showing my age, and then it had a sequel too. So yeah, that was mine.
That monster under the bed sounds adorable, and I actually wrote something similar like oh god, well, I guess it was like 7-8 years ago now. When I got my cat Chase, he was hiding under the bed for the first few days. So every time we gave him dinner, I would just slide his bowl under. And then after an hour or so, I would just slide it back out and it would be empty. And I was joking with my sister that I was like, it's like we're feeding the monster under the bed. And I actually wrote a children's picture book about it. And I think I lost it because I think it was on the laptop that I spilled water on. And I don't think I saved it anywhere else. But that's always been a story that's been in the back of my head that I would like to go back to. But that sounds adorable. And will you ever go back to Infinity Awaits?
I might do it. I actually really enjoyed the story. It was actually book 2 was better, and then I some of the floppy disks corrupted, and I lost like half of it, and I managed to get most of it back. It would probably need to just be scrapped and rewritten 100% because I don't know, back to like 12, 13-year-old me would have been awful at writing, like the worst possible writing. It might have put in Comic Sans as well, so you know that's how bad it would have been. But yeah, no, I might do because I don't know. I like all my stories. So yeah,
I think it'd be fun to see how different your style is between then and now. Because like the first story I ever wrote was called Diary of a Lover. And I'm not going to explain what that was because it's too embarrassing.
How old were you? Diary of a Lover?
I think I was in high school.
Okay, so just checking.
But it was during my like Gossip Girl and Pretty Little Liars era. So that's like all you'll get about what Diary of a Lover was about. That's it.
I love the age difference. It's like, you know, it's like, oh, you're watching Pretty Little Liars in high school, and I'm like talking about floppy disks. It's like so
floppy disks were elementary school for me.
Oh my gosh. Oh.
And then it fizzled out.
They were great. They were awful, but they were great.
Yeah, they were. I know.
Anyway, this is supposed to be rapid questions, so they're not going to be, but we're going to try.
I know.
Okay. With that, well, let's go to the next one. So, what writer would you love to meet in person?
So, my favorite author who I would love to meet in person is actually 3 people under the pen name Aaron Hunter. And you guys all know I've spoken about Aaron Hunter and the Warriors series many times over, but I would love to pick their brains about how they work together and collaborate on this massive world of a series and how they came up with the idea. Well, actually, I've found out how they came up with the idea just the other day, actually, and it made me cry. But yeah, I would just love to, like, they're the ones that got me into reading in the first place. So that's important to me.
I like how you snuck 3 people into meeting one person because they use one pen name. That is quite a sneaky trick.
Well, it's not a sneaky trick. They are my favorite author. It's not, I can't help that they just happen to be 3 people that work on the same series.
Sneaky. That's what we get. Sneaky.
Well, it's me. So are you surprised?
No, and I'm not surprised you picked Erin Hunter either, because I said, yes, we were. I actually get to the point where I feel like I should start the Warrior series because you've talked about it so much. It's like, it better be bloody good.
It is. I mean, I am at the ripe old age of 30 and I'm still reading the series and I'm still enjoying it. And I still reread the series.
Yeah. It's still going though, isn't it? It's still writing.
It's still going.
Wow.
Yep.
So
I don't know how, but see, that's what I would love to talk to them about.
Actually, yeah, how to maintain a series that long is pretty damn impressive. Okay, for me, there are so many to choose from. But since Sir Terry Pratchett has sadly passed away and I never did get the chance to meet him, feel really bad about that, I'm gonna probably have to say Dorinda Jones. Her books are the ones of one of the few books that have actually made me laugh out loud to the point where I had to put the book down because I got a stitch and I was shaking it so much. I just love her, the way she writes, her style. It was her Charlie Davidson series that just made me laugh out loud, which is really bad because when you're trying to read at night and your other half is asleep and you're chortling to yourself trying to hold in the laugh. Yeah. So I would love to sit down and chat with her over a cup of tea and find out like how she came up with everything and whether she is that funny just as a person, which I think she probably is actually. But yeah, that would be my pick.
I've never read that author. That's all I have to say. But I'm glad those books are the best when they make you laugh out loud like that. I personally like it when books make me cry. I don't know why. Some happy tears, but also sad tears. I like to feel the emotions. So I'm just gonna move on. What is the worst book to movie adaptation in your opinion?
There's probably a lot because I've watched a lot of movies that apparently are books that I've not read the book of, and obviously, you know, they always say the book is better. Not always, I'm going to point that out. But if I'm going to pick one, I have to say The Hobbit. I loved Lord of the Rings, but it needed to be 3 movies. It was it was so much world building. It needed 3 movies, 3-hour movies, plus all the extra stuff. The Hobbit, I read in class when I was 8 and I struggled with reading. And I managed to read that. I'm sorry, it did not need 3 giant movies. And honestly, I can barely remember anything in them other than like the most basics, like when they first start the adventure and the trolls. And that was it. They dragged, they were boring. It was so much like in your face and extra stuff that was definitely not in the novel, and it was just like The only thing I liked was Smaug, and I don't care if I'm pronouncing it wrong. Everybody pronounces it differently. I pronounce it Smaug, and that possibly could be because A, the visual of the dragon was brilliant, and B, I just love Benedict Cumberbatch and his voice was perfect, and I will watch anything with him in. But yeah, honestly, I could talk through every single one of the Lord of the Rings movies piece by piece, and I remember every single piece. I can't remember any of the second movie of The Hobbit. I can remember tiny pieces of the first and just the dragon piece of the third one. That's it.
I gotta agree with you on that one because I mean, the Lord of the Rings, it was easy to make that into 3 movies because the book is broken up into 3 parts and it's lengthy. And I agree with you. It does need 3 movies because there's just so much to the whole book of it. But The Hobbit, I mean, man, that was like what, 300 pages. And they were like, let's break this up into 3 movies. And and they threw in a character that wasn't needed, that didn't exist, and just for like some sort of weird love interest. It's like, no, no, no. So I agree with you on that one. The Hobbit. I still enjoyed the movies because I like the actors, and I like Bilbo. Of course, you can't go wrong with Bilbo. You can't go wrong with Smaug. But yeah, in terms of, following the book and stuff, no, not a good.
No, it wasn't, was it? It was just, it was over bloated and just, and it annoys me that I went and saw them, but I kept thinking they were going to get better, and they didn't. And it's like, yeah, I have zero interest in rewatching those, but I will read the book again.
I should reread the books, actually. I haven't read them in a while.
Yeah, that should be. That's maybe a new year. Like, yay, we should start reading them again. Okay, next question. What are you currently working on?
Well, I mean, I'm currently working on 3 different things because I can't be bothered to work on one thing at a time. So, of course, naturally, I'm still working on The Perfect Alibi, which is book 1 in my mystery series with George and Lila. I'm actually really hoping to get it done this year and, finally share it with the world. So that would be so nice. But I'm also working on a novella series. The series is called Criminal Cafe, and the first novella is called Caffeinated Capers. So it's another like mystery type thing, late night coffee shop run by a retired assassin, found family, all that fun stuff, because found family is glorious. And I am working on a short story collection for my blog and also my Tumblr, because I went back on Tumblr, and that's called I don't know why I titled it this, because I can never pronounce it on the first try. It's called Apparitions Anonymous. And that's just a collection of short stories of the Grim Reaper, like basically having therapy sessions with new souls crossing over. So I'm having a lot of fun with all of them. And so I hope I stick with them and actually finish them. That would be great.
When we were looking at this question, I was asking, like, when does this come out? Because just to be honest, we're recording this in October 2023.
Why you always got to expose us?
To be fair, sometimes we expose ourselves by saying, oh yeah, we got ill or such a thing happened, and it's like, yeah, that was like 3 months ago by the time this comes out. So yeah. So I'm probably still working on what I'm always working on. I am exactly like Rachel. I get bored easily and need to have lots of things going at the same time. Very much lots of plates in the air. So I am probably still working on the Blessed trilogy. I am, fingers crossed, book 1 is like with betas by now. Really hoping to be. I started book 2 like 2023, started like messing with it, so I'm hoping that's going to be on a bit further. I am still working on my very long series, Preternatural series, which is the Trinity Heart series. Book 1 has been written for ages. It just needs fixing in a part, and I just keep ignoring it. So hopefully that has been done too. I have 4 or 5 other story ideas that I started messing with, so they might be on too. Yeah, most of them are fantasy, but I also have a sci-fi and a pirate one lurking. So to be fair, I could be working on any of those. I could be working on something new. But as of recording this, it's still working on the trilogy Blessed, which is a traditional fantasy, and on my modern urban preternatural fantasy excessive series. And I think another one, but I can't remember which one it is because they kind of flick through. But yeah, that's what I'm still working on, because this is my life now.
Man, I like how you're just like, I'm hoping I'll still be doing this, I'll be doing that, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no. I'm trying to be optimistic. I will still be working on these projects come January, because I really, really hope. I think for George and Lila, I think I have had a publishing goal for the fall for the past 5 years or so. And I am like still in the same spot that I was. I am gonna be optimistic and say that hopefully it'll be published by the end of 2024 or early 2025 at the very, very, very latest. But yeah, that's what we're working on, and we're gonna be working on it because we're gonna be productive. I'll take out the sticker charts again if I have to, that we won't follow, but we'll try, and that's what counts. Since we're both working on like 50 different projects, are there any projects that you'll never go back to?
I think we did an episode that mentioned this once before, and I probably said there was. I'm going to retract that and say no. Because I like all of my ideas. There's probably some I have to not do because I don't have enough, even if also optimistically, I don't think I've got enough years ahead of me to do all the stories I want to do. But honestly, I'm gonna freaking try. You know, if I was given these ideas, I'm going to try it. I think I'm sticking with the same, mainly 10 that I've got at the moment that are like the most active. But yeah, no, you know what? No, I don't want to give any of them up. No.
No, that's fair. That's fair. I agree with that. I think I'm kind of in the same boat as you for most of my ideas, but I'll never go back to my first novel. Never, ever. That will never see the light of day. But I used to have a spreadsheet of novel ideas that had well over 100 ideas. And now I've narrowed it down to 48, which I know still sounds like a lot, but those 48 ideas are across 10 different series. So I don't know. I mean, a lot of the ones that I took off of the spreadsheet, I don't know if I'll ever go back to them. I still have them in the back of my mind. And maybe if when I'm old and gray and retired, I'll write them for fun or something. But for the most part, I don't think I'll go back to them. Because I had a lot of like children's picture book ideas. And I don't know if I'll ever go back to, especially since all of my stories now talk about death and dying and grief and murder and all that stuff. Turn that on its head to children's picture books.
To be fair, take the murder part out. Like kids do need to learn about death and grief. It's not, it's like parents are awful at talking about that with their kids. I mean, we have a family member with a 5-year-old, and one of the animals died, and then suddenly there was a lot of questions about death and everything, and it was awkward and everyone's uncomfortable, and it's like, yeah, so I don't know, having a book you can throw at kids and go, there you are, read that. It just explains it all.
Maybe that's true. That is true.
Yeah, we're going to stop talking about you and your bloody spreadsheets, because I remember when you mentioned that, and then I went, oh, that's a good idea. So I wrote all mine in a spreadsheet and found to be having way too many, and it was sobering seeing how many ideas of novels and series were just kind of floating around nebulously in my head, ready to be started. And it just gave me massive paralysis. So thanks for that, Rach.
How many do you have?
I can't remember. I think mine was something stupid like in the 50s, 60s. And then I started moving them down. And I didn't get up to the 100, thank God. And I started moving them down. And been like, well, these are just very not sure, but these ones are right at the top. But even then it was still like, like you said, like 40 odd. And I didn't even put the accurate number because like the Trinity Heart series, I thought, oh, well, it's at least 8 books. And then I started pulling the plot ideas, and there's at least 14, and I haven't pulled all the plots. So I was completely mistaken on how many. I'm like, yeah, it's about 8 or 9 books. And then I realized I had all these plot ideas. I pulled them up, and it's like, wow, there's 14 plus. So yeah, I don't want to think about it anymore.
That's like on my spreadsheet. Like I said, I have 48 across 10 different series, but each series, I know they're not going to be standalones. So even though I don't like have the titles and stuff yet, I just have like at least 3 books for each series because I know it's going to happen.
It's hard to write standalones. It's annoying because it's getting to the point where I'm actually starting to enjoy read standalones, because sometimes I just don't have the mental capacity to start a new series, especially if it's an ongoing series and you don't know how many books it's going to be. It used to be like, you get the odd duology and trilogy. Now everyone's doing 4 to 5 books for a series or more. And it's like, I don't have time. I just don't have time. So I'm actually starting to read a lot more standalone books just to give me a little headspace. So maybe I need to start writing some standalone books. But instead of going, I'll just take some of those story ideas and put them as one, it'll be like, I'll add new ideas to this standalone. So that's not good. That's not good. Okay, what question are we on? Have you noticed these are not rapid at all?
I mean, did you expect it to be? It's us.
I know, right? Okay, what's your favorite book of all time?
Warriors.
That is not one book. That
I
is
don't
many
care.
books.
I don't care, Ari. There's like over 50, 60 books in the series, and I like it, so I'm going with it.
Rachel cannot follow rules, as we know. Jeez. I hate this question, and I appreciate I have asked this question. Because who has one favorite book of all time? Seriously, who does? Someone say, "What's your favorite movie of all time?" Are you kidding? Some of my favorite movies have only just come out, so of course they weren't there back in the day. I have loads of favorites. Like if there was a fire, there's about 12 books I would rescue. You know, after family and cats and everything. I would definitely grab a certain number of books. But there is one or two that I always turn to if I'm having a bad day and I kind of need something comforting and familiar. I'm not saying these books are, easy reads, but they're a comfort to me. It's like visiting old friends. So I'm gonna pick one because I am gonna follow the rules. And I'm gonna go with The Shadow Queen by Anne Bishop. That is the one I will always reach for if I'm having a rough day.
I don't care if you actually chose one book and was following the rules. I chose a series, and then you immediately was like, I hate this question because who has one favorite book?
But I
don't
still
care.
did it.
No, it doesn't count. I don't care. I'm not listening.
Do you
What
ever?
are some non-writing related hobbies you do? I'm skipping that. I'm just
Okay, I make and sell jewelry and gift items. I class it as a hobby because I actually enjoy doing it. If it got too commercial, it would probably stress me out. I rescue small animals like all the time. I'm usually the person who stops in the middle of the road to pick up snails and caterpillars and like tired bees. I love playing board games. Um, my favorite is the Forbidden Desert and Forbidden Island, and also Cthulhu Flux. I have an Oculus. I like to play 2 games, and that is it. Like, my brother keeps telling me to buy more, but I literally just play Beat Saber and was it Space Pirate Training. That's it. I just play those 2 games and only those 2 games. What else? I don't know. I hate thinking about hobbies because the problem is as you get older, you become more of a grown up, which is so freaking annoying. You start doing things because it's useful and productive and less about enjoyment. Like I used to do art all the time and I stopped doing it because I stopped taking commissions and I stopped doing art trades. And instead of just going, I like drawing, it was like, no, if I'm not making money or I'm not sharing it here, I don't see the point. And it was like, I don't know why I did that. Same with like I used to make candles. I used to just make candles for myself, and then I started to sell them and they did well, and then it was just like I got bored of it, so instead of going back and just making myself candles, it was like, yeah, I'm gonna stop doing that. So yeah, I think those are the main hobbies I still do ish. So yeah.
No, I get that though. That's a mood. I have a difficult time finding hobbies because I'm like, well, if I'm not making money from it, then I'm not being productive. So I get that. I totally get that. And that is not a correct mentality to have. Small disclaimer right there. But you know what? Here we are. When when I'm not writing, I'm usually playing video games, which of course I get review codes. So in some way, that is also partly work. But I like to play video games, and I started photography again. I picked up my camera after not picking it up for a really, really long time. And I actually started sharing that on Redbubble because, again, I'm not like, this is going to sound backwards because I didn't do that because I was like, oh, well, if I'm not making money, I'm not being productive. But I started doing it because I just needed like a confidence booster, so to speak, because I'm not like a professional photographer. So I was like, well, hey, let me just share it on the internet and just have a little more confidence in myself sharing my art and my creative work. So That's actually been kind of helpful for me in terms of writing and stuff as well. So there's photography, there's video games. I do like to just hang out with my animals. One really expensive hobby that I like to do is bring home animals, which I should probably stop doing that, but here we are. I got a mini zoo at my house. And also board games are fun as well. And Dungeons and Dragons. I play a lot of Dungeons and Dragons. I'll stop talking.
No, that's good. See, that's it. Yeah, it's nice that we actually have hobbies, because I don't know about you, but sometimes it's kind of, you think about it, you think, what do I do? You know, and then we start thinking about it, like, yeah, right, I might not play board games as often as I used to because since we've moved, it's not as easy, and that. But it's like, yeah, no, it's nice to actually remind yourself what you do, and then realize if you haven't got any hobbies, then maybe you need to go get hobbies.
Yes.
You know, because I don't know if you ever had that moment where it's like, he's like, oh yeah, I do this and this. You think, actually, it's been ages since I did that. I don't actually do that anymore.
Yeah.
You know? It's like, I used to be like, oh yeah, I do pottery and archery. It's like, since we moved out of England, I haven't done pottery and I haven't done archery. So I can't really claim that I do those as hobbies anymore, because I don't. So
yeah. And it just like, it gets to a point where everything is just so time consuming because there are only so many hours in a day, and you feel like you need to be spending that time doing something, again, more quote unquote productive and things like that.
That is the biggest time suck, is the false productive, because, and we're all taught that value comes from productivity. It's like, you need to be really good in your job, and you need to do this at school, and you know, it's like, what do you do in your spare time? It's like when people say, like, well, what did you do? And you're like, oh, I did nothing. Oh, is that all? Well, you could come with us. It's like, whoa, I enjoy doing nothing. I chose to do nothing. But it's almost unheard of. It's like, unless you're cleaning or tidying or organizing or doing a hobby or going out or meeting people or trying something or learning something, you're wasting time. And we as a society have got that so deep in our heads that it has affected everything, even the fun stuff. It's like, you know, we garden now to make the garden look tidy. We don't garden because we want to put new plants in it or want to make the birds more likely to come into the garden. No. We garden because it needs to look tidy, because we don't want the neighbors going, oh gosh, look at their hedge that's overgrowing and blocking out the light, which it has been doing. And that's the problem. Everything is based on this like product value. It's like, that's how we get our worth. How much have you done? What is the productivity of your life? That's your worth. And it's upsetting.
Yeah. Yep. I don't even have anything to say on that, because that is so true and hits so home. And this conversation took a turn.
Yeah,
but it's true.
So I'm going to add a little bit extra, even to the point as being a writer. If you don't write 1,000 words, 500 words, 10,000 words in a day, you're not being productive. Say you sat down at your computer and you wrote 10 words. What's the first thing you think? Oh my God, is that all? Oh my God, that's rubbish. I'm never going to be a writer. It's like, it's more than zero. It's better than what you have done. If you've been struggling, that is something. The fact you sat down and wrote anything. I'm not saying massively celebrate. I'm not one of these. It's like, oh my God, you did. It's like, no, but you know what? If you're going through something, just doing something is better than nothing if it's something you want to do. But no, we have to judge ourselves like, oh wow, I used to be able to do this many. It's like, yeah, okay, but you can't now, so just wheel it back, do what you can do until you're up to that level again. No, we judge ourselves, and then we make ourselves feel like crap about it, and then what does that do? Stops us from writing.
We are trained to think negatively.
Yeah, that's actually really depressing. So we're going to move on to the next question. What was the best money you ever spent as a writer?
Scrivener. I got it for like half price because I participate and reached my goal in NaNoWriMo, because Literature and Latte are sponsors of NaNoWriMo. So if you're interested in getting that, and Nano is the type of challenge that may work for you, you can get a discount if you win. And if you don't, you still get a discount for participating. And I love Scrivener, because I have it on all of my computers, and I have it on just everything, and it backups to the cloud, and it's just I will have to do a podcast episode on Scrivener alone. We're not sponsored or affiliated with them in any way, but we both use it and we both love it. And it's just such an easy way. I started learning how to make templates on Scrivener, so it's going to make my novel writing like so much better, or smoother. not necessarily better, but the process will be smoother, I guess. But yeah, and it's not even that expensive either. So probably, yeah, I love it.
I concur with that. It's brilliant. I mean, when I first got it, and then I hated it because I couldn't figure it out. And instead of taking like 5 minutes and learning about it, I was like, no, I don't want to use it anymore. And I ignored it for like a year. And then I watched a video and someone showed me how to use it. It was like, oh, I'm going to go back to it, because sometimes I can be a bit of a child like that. But yeah, I like that you can set it all up so it's already got all your front matter and your back matter and your parts and your chapters. And yeah, seriously, I agree. Scrivener is brilliant. It's brilliant. Yes, we will definitely have to do an episode about that. Make sure to remember to write that down, Rachel, because we will forget. For me, I spent a little bit more, and I spent over £400 on a course run by a writer. But it wasn't really just about writing. It was mostly about branding and marketing and building a following and all this. And what I got out of it was totally worth the money. In fact, I think it probably could have been more. I also got lifetime access. I got access to a Facebook group. I can get those videos anytime I want. And I actually made notes, and I filled 2 full notebooks with notes from this course. It was really good, really detailed. And I actually used a lot of the ideas and techniques in my online business. So even though I might not have used it all with my writing, it's still a lot of the stuff like about marketing was transferable, and it gave my business a massive boost. So seriously, massively impressed. And I'm not big on writing courses. I feel there's too many people out there who write one novel and then go, oh my gosh, here's my course. It's £97 or £997 or £1,997, because for some reason 97 is this magic number that all courses seem to be. Not sure why. Don't know why people are drawn to the 97. But yeah, I'm very skeptical about most courses. But I got a free course that was an hour, and the amount of information I got in the free course was worth it to bounce to the, even if I hadn't bought the other one, the advanced one, I got so much out of the original. I was impressed that I went on. Whereas sometimes you go on these courses and it's a lot of fluff just to sell you the next, the advanced course by someone who has written one book. Not to disparage, maybe a little bit disparage, but that's just my personal opinion. I'm not the biggest fan of writing courses, and I want good value for money, and I want someone who knows what they're talking about. So yeah, that was mine.
You know what? I'm glad that you bought a writing course and actually got something out of it, though, because whenever I do writing courses, I look for the free ones. Because unless you know the person who's running the course and you know what they've done and you know where they came from and things like that, I try not to spend any money, because what works for one person doesn't work for everybody else. So, which is something you got to take that with a grain of salt if you do take writing courses. I'm not saying all writing courses are bad or anything like that, but they do get pricey, and you can kind of get sucked into like this like pit of just constant learning about this, that, and the other, and then you end up not getting any writing done, or you try to cater your writing style to that, what you particularly learned in that course, which can have its own issues. It can certainly help, but it can also come with issues, and you got to find that balance. So speaking of money, final question, Ari, what would you do with your first advance if you received one?
I would assume we're talking a good advance, not like, here's 20 quid. It's like,
I would assume, yes.
Yeah, is it like something like, 10 grand or something? I don't know. It's a weird one. It's one of those where it's like, you think, oh my God, I'm just going to go to the stationery store and go crazy on notebooks. Or would it be, I'll be sensible and put it in a high interest savings account to pay for the rest of the freaking books, and someone to deal with my social media crap because I hate it. I think the first thing I would do is I would probably go out and buy myself like a cheesecake and a hot chocolate and just like enjoy myself. It's so sad. It's like, but I don't drink, so I can't go, I'm buy myself some champagne. It's like, no, I'm going to get myself a really good cheesecake and some hot chocolate and not think about writing for like 2 weeks. But yeah, no, I can't. I don't know. I'd like to be more interesting, but I don't think I am. So that's my answer.
The funny thing is, I have 3 ideas of what I would do. The first idea, assuming that my first published book is my murder mystery series, I have always wanted to host a murder mystery party. So I think I would probably put the money towards, having some extravagant like party type thing, but I don't have enough friends for that. I don't think I would have like enough people in real life that would be able to attend and actually have a good time with it. So I don't know if I would do that. The other thing is, because I'm a child, I would love to go on PokemonCenter.com and just buy all the Pokemon stuff that I could possibly get. Like, there's so many things on that website that I want, but I'm like, I shouldn't be spending my money on that. And I don't. So if I had a big advance like that, I would probably just go nuts on that website. Or similar to what Ari said, I would probably put it, maybe half goes into my savings account, or like I split it up so that I can have like a little bit of spending money, put some in the savings account, and the rest goes into a different savings account for the other books to hire an editor, hire a book cover artist, and all of that fun stuff. So yeah, I could either like use it for social purposes, I could completely blow it all, or I could be sensible with it. There's no in between.
I'm actually going to change my answer. I just realized, I'm thinking, you know what? I wouldn't blow it all, but I think I would probably massively upgrade my system. I would have 2 or 3 monitors. I've only got 1 at the moment. I would have a redesigned desk that was perfect for all the things I need. I'd have 3 monitors, a really good keyboard, a mouse. I'd have my speaker systems up so I could play the music throughout the whole room rather than just coming out the stupid crappy speakers that I've got at the moment. I would redesign the room so that I had like giant whiteboards or not pegboards, what they're called, cork boards, for when I did my outlining. It would just be on one wall. It would, I think that's what I would spend it on. I would up my craft room system so that it was perfect. That's what I would do.
That's a really good idea.
And you'd have some spare for like, more stationery.
Yeah.
More
yeah,
colored
of course.
pens.
We totally need more of those.
Yeah, of course. It's just never, and obviously, buy a few books and everything.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
That's a really good idea. That's probably something else I would do too. I would probably like just go to the office store and just buy all the new office supplies, upgrade my systems. Yeah.
Go to someone where they can actually design it. I know. Let's be honest. The truth is, if we got it, we'd be like paying off debt or bills.
I know.
Or get it, update. The car needs a service. That'd be the boring thing. It wouldn't actually be, you'd be like, oh, I've got a credit card to pay off.
Honestly though, that's why I threw that into my original answer, because I feel like if I had that type of money, I would probably just say, oh man, I earned this. I could buy all the Pokemon cards, but I probably shouldn't. And then the guilt would set in and I'd be like, I got a budget. I got to be smart with my money, blah, blah, blah. It's very depressing.
Great way to end it. Thanks for that, Rach.
You know what? Yeah, you're welcome, guys. We actually have more questions, but we figured it might be suited for like a bonus episode on Patreon. So if you haven't joined us on Patreon yet, now would be a good time to do so. But in the meantime, we will turn it over to you guys. Let us know your answers to these questions in the comments, because we're curious and we'll chat about it. And remember, we release a new episode every Wednesday. Next week, we're discussing editing checklists. So to ensure you don't miss it, don't forget to hit the subscribe button on your way out. And as always, thanks for listening to the Merry Writer podcast, and huge thank you for, still listening 200 episodes in. It's crazy. We will see you guys next week. This podcast is brought to you by Arguments Over Coffee and Tea. Which side are you on? The music titled Inspired is by Kevin MacLeod, licensed under Creative Commons 4.0.